Hello and welcome back to another video from 55 degrees north and to part 29 of your Newcastle upon Tyne construction and restoration update video. Coming up in this week's video, we'll be visiting all the usual hotspots from Pottery Lane to Pilgrim Place and many more exciting developments across the city. Plus, I've got some news on a long neglected part of Newcastle that's finally getting a much needed facelift, along with a major update on the new arena and conference centre at Gateshead Quays, one of the most anticipated projects on Tyneside. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So again this week, starting with an update from the Health and Innovation Neighbourhood at the site of the former General Hospital. This week, there's been more progress at the back of the old hospital block, where the smaller buildings are nothing but a pile of rubble. Over towards the back, there's still a massive pile of bricks and concrete, all waiting to be crushed. You can even spot the crushing machine on standby, ready to get to work any day now. And up the front, work is still ongoing inside the old main building. Crews are continuing to remove materials ahead of the building's demolition, which is expected to happen sometime in the future. But if you're wondering whether there's anything changed all the way up the front of the site, the answer again this week is nope, still quiet over there. Moving on to Castle Leazes, where preparations are well underway for the new Students Village development. At the front of the site, there's a lot of activity as all materials are broken up and fed into the crushing machine. You'll notice water being sprayed continuously. This is to keep the dust levels down and ensure a safer working environment. Towards the back, the last remaining foundations of the old student blocks are still being broken apart, and these too will be taken to the crusher, making way for the next phase of the construction. The drilling machine, which is being used to drill test holes, has now been moved to the centre of the site. All around you can see neatly piled crushed material, ready to be reused elsewhere on the site, part of the project's commitment to sustainable practices. Meanwhile, dumpers are transporting material to waiting bulldozers, which then push it into place to prepare the ground for the future build. And finally, skips on the site are being filled with recycled materials, helping ensure that as much waste as possible is diverted from landfill. Moving down to Leazes Park Road, where the work on the brand new Students Accommodation is really starting to take shape. Looking across the site, you can clearly see the lower floors coming together. The structure is beginning to rise steadily, giving us a glimpse of the building's future layout. Down at the front of the site, where the old building stands, breeze block walls are starting to form across the lower levels. It's a clear sign that the internal framework is well underway. Further up on the scaffolding, you can already see more breeze blocks stacked and ready to be added to the higher floors. Everything's lined up to keep the build running smoothly. And if you take a look at the corner of the site, you really get a sense of how far things have progressed. The floors have now risen to the point on the first core lift shaft, clearly visible. Moving round the corner to Strawberry Place, where there's finally some movement happening again. After several weeks of no activity, work has finally restarted at the site with the new advertisement boards. As you can see, some machinery has been delivered, which is a promising sign that things are getting back on track. A thing I have noticed, the barriers that were previously at the front of the site are now lying towards the back, suggesting a shift in the focus of the groundwork. We're also seeing early stages of groundwork starting again, which is a great sign for progress. Across the road at the new Students Accommodation on St James's Boulevard, as you can see, work is nearing completion and students are expected to start moving in just in time for the new academic year in August or September. Since our last update, the biggest change around the back is the addition of more fencing on the next level up, something you might remember was just getting started in the previous video. Out the front, new pavement is progressing really well. You can tell they're pushing to finish everything to a high standard before people move in. And if you look just a bit further up, all the lower windows have been cleaned giving the place a polished and finished look. Moving down to Pottery Lane, where a major construction is well underway of one of the city's most ambitious residential developments in recent years. This plot of land, tucked between the Redcliffe and Kinadwood bridges, has been neglected and out of use for years. But it all started to change back in September 2020 when the developers were granted permission to build not just a few flats but over 500 new homes right here. The scheme, led by Olympian Homes, and is set to become Newcastle's largest multi-family housing project to date. Right now, most of the two U-shaped blocks are almost fully wrapped in scaffolding, but if you look closely at the lower floors, you'll notice some of the cladding has already been fitted and more windows have started going in too. You can really start to see the buildings taking shape. The project is being delivered in two phases. Phase 1 is an 11-storey block with 292 private rental units, which is expected to be complete in early 2026. Then Phase 2, a 6-storey building with another 227 homes, should follow in 2027. But it's not just about apartments. Residents will have access to 10,000 square feet of shared amenities. Think of co-working space, a gym, 2 rooftop terraces and even a cinema room. Moving on up to Collier Square, where the new Pilgrim Place office development is really taking shape. The entire site is a hive of activity, with construction work progressing across all corners. You can really feel the momentum building. Down at the lower levels, you'll notice prefabricated stairs have been delivered and they're starting to be installed. A clear sign of interior structure is taking form. And at the front of the site, a lot of work is going on installing steel reinforcement, all in preparation for the next concrete pour, a crucial step in building out the structural integrity. And it's the same story at the back, where teams are continuing to reinforce the back wall, again all getting ready for more concrete work. Over on the Warsack Street side of the site, you'll notice the first steelwork starting to rise. It's been erected under the initial lift shaft core that was completed earlier. A view from the other side gives you a great sense of how far the steel has climbed up that core. The skeleton of the building is beginning to emerge. And finally, from this angle, you can clearly see the third core lift shaft is now fully complete, another major milestone in the build. And now moving on to His Majesty's Revenue and Customs building, right in the heart of Newcastle, for those who missed me saying it in the last video. Starting on the John Dobson Street side, there's a notable bit of progress. A mould has now been set up, ready for concrete to be poured in. That'll soon take shape of a staircase. Looking a little higher up, the final sections of cladding and coving have now been completed on this side of the building, giving it a much more finished look. Also, the large concrete wall has started to receive its first coat of paint, giving us a clearer idea of its final appearance. Over on the Market Street corner, more finishing touches have been made. The last bits of coving have now been fitted around the curb, with just a few pieces left to go near the old Collier House facade. So now round on the Pilgrim Street side, good news here. All the windows and doors are now in place, and if you look closely, it's great to see the historic Joseph Swan plaque is still right there on the wall, preserved where it belongs. And finally, looking down Market Street, they've started laying curbstones, marking the next phase of the new paving going in soon. Up at Ellison Place, where work on the brand new North East Space Skills and Technology Centre is moving ahead at quite a pace. In just 2 weeks since our last update, there's been some major progress. The full steel framework is now in place, giving us a really clear look at the building's final shape and scale. Steel sheeting for the floors has been installed in sections across the site, with several areas still waiting to be completed. But overall, it's credible to see just how much has changed in such a short time. And now onto the two projects I mentioned at the beginning of the video. One about the long neglected infrastructure beneath Newcastle streets, and the other about an ambitious development on Gateshead Quayside that's facing serious challenges. First, let's talk about Swan House Roundabout in Newcastle, a key point in the city centre and unfortunately home to some seriously run down pedestrian subways. Described by locals and businesses as dated and neglected, these underpasses have long raised safety concerns, especially after dark. But now Newcastle City Council is stepping in. They've committed nearly £64,000 to upgrade the area, aiming to make the subways feel safer and more welcoming. The improvements could include CCTV, new signage, fresh paint and a good old-fashioned clean-up. This follows a recent upgrade to lighting, a move already welcomed by nearby residents. Now let's cross the river to Gateshead, where a bold vision for a new arena and conference centre is currently on pause. The planned 12,500 seat arena and International Convention Centre, once branded a world-class regeneration, are yet to break ground. Originally expected to begin construction in the autumn of 2023, the project has been stalled by escalating costs. Reports now estimate that the funding gap is just under £100 million. With that kind of shortfall, many may be asking the hard question, will it ever be built? Now for a quick roundup of some of the smaller but still exciting projects happening right across the city. First up, pavement improvement works are still ongoing on Northumberland Street. As with previous weeks, most of the work is still focused on the middle section of the street. But there's a progress at the top of the street. The first seating areas have now appeared, complete with planters installed in the centre. A small step, but one makes a big difference in how the space feels. Also on Northumberland Street, the new Lloyds Bank looks like it's nearly ready to open. All the signage is now up, which usually means the finish line isn't far off. And just around the corner on Brunswick Place, the entrance to the new Lane 7 bowling alley is now clearly visible. That's one sure to be a popular addition to locals and visitors alike. Over to Granger Street, the new Newcastle Building Society is also coming together nicely. The signage has just gone up there too, so we can probably expect doors to open soon. And finally, the scaffolding has started to come down at the front of the Northern Goldsmiths building. And the Golden Lady clock, after a detailed restoration, she's back and looking better than ever. So just before I wrap today's video up, please let me know in the comments below your thoughts on all the construction and restoration that's going on in the city right now. And if you've enjoyed this video, please leave it a massive thumbs up. It really does help the channel grow. And for more updates and behind the scenes on urban development, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video. A massive thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on 55 Degrees North.